Hi there, I'm Lyndon Thorpe, and welcome to the Burnout Breakthrough. And hopefully we'll be joined by Dr. Nwoye very soon. He hasn't arrived yet, but I'm sure he will. This week I'd like to really talk about collaboration. We've been debating quite hotly among the community whether human beings are naturally collaborative or competitive. And it's really brought up a lot of very interesting points. Let me lay the ground for you, and when Dr. Nwoye arrives, then we can continue to discuss this. But yes, from my perspective as an embodiment mentor, I truly believe that the world we live in is an abundant one. If we look at planet Earth, it is an abundant planet, the green planet, and really there is everything we need to sustain our lives. And as long as we work in partnership with the planet, instead of trying to dominate it, as scientists and so on are trying to do, then there will always be abundance. There will always be everything we need. Maybe not exactly when we need it. And this is where, my work with Australian Aboriginals really comes into play, because they live by the seasons. They don't go to the supermarket. They eat and drink what is available at that time. And so they live close to the earth and in tune with the earth. And yes, I always try to live in that way. And so there is everything we need. It is an abundant planet, and we are abundant people. We are basically intrinsically good. Dr. Nwoye has arrived now, and I hope he's listening to this as he just sets himself up, and then I'll come onto the platform. So, yes, setting the scene, we're going to talk today about whether human beings are naturally collaborative or competitive. Last week, we debated this quite a lot on my live sessions, and I wrote about it too. And this week, I'm instigating a new regime, which is called the round table protocol, because we've been having lots of problems in group discussions with people interrupting. And this is an interesting phenomenon, because when people interrupt and just cannot wait until somebody's finished speaking, that's a really sure sign that you are not feeling safe. So from a bodily point of view, you have to assert yourself. You feel you're invisible, feel you're not being heard. And my two guests on Friday at Embodiment Q&A were constantly interrupting one another, quite aggressively. So I decided from now on I'm going to introduce the round table protocol. And I'll invite Dr. Joseph now onto the stage, and then we can continue on discussing this. It's a great topic, I think. Good morning.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
Good to see you. Good to see you. And sorry you couldn't make it last week, but I know you're very busy, so it's okay. So yes, I'd very much like to discuss this question with you, because I know you've got very strong views about it, especially from a human development side. But yes, this really was a problem last week. In a couple of groups I run, I just couldn't get a word in edgeways because people were just interrupting each other like mad, and it was getting quite aggressive. I'm sure you experienced this in group meetings, Joseph, too. So on the other hand, the people concerned were very much talking about cooperation, how we are naturally collaborative, and yet they were not living up to their ideas because they were not being collaborative, because they interrupted constantly, which really screams out to me that they didn't feel safe. They didn't feel seen. And so they had to push themselves in. I really sat back during the whole time quite often, because I know I'm seen, I'm safe in my body, and I don't need to interrupt. But yeah, let's start off with your general views on this. Do you think human beings are collaborative or competitive?
That's an interesting question. And
Isn't it?
it's a question that we need to give some thoughts to. And to answer it directly, I would say that human beings are collaborative or competitive depending on the situation. Situation propel people to do what they do or change their conception of what may have been established at the normal process for activities. And those dynamics continue to change, thusly triggering different positions, whether one determines to be collaborative or competitive. And I'll give you instances based on what is happening in our global community today.
Oh,
If you look
yeah.
at how things are now, we used to say European Union, we say Asian Union, we have all kinds of union, and in each group, they form it with purpose of collaborating with one another. Even though if you look at the other side of the equation, you see that their collaboration means to be working competitively to outdo the other side of the equation. So it applies also to human beings. When you are working with people, it depends on situation and the process. If you work with people whom you trust completely, you don't need to be that collaborative. You don't need to be competitive. Collaboration becomes the norm because you know that you are a team working in collaboration to achieve a specified goal. So even if you look at companies, in each company, they have different departments. These departments are always in one way or the other, collaborating or engaging in competition. The same is true with human beings. If you are striving to get a particular position and you are two or more competing for that position, and that position is only for one person, the tendency is to fuel competition in order to get it. So I would say, again, it depends on situation and circumstances that propel people, companies, or nations, or organizations that may gang up against one another to determine whether they will be collaborative or competitive. Hope that answers the first phase of how I see it.
Right. Great. Well, that's great. And I am in accord with you, of course. Of course, the situation varies, and we have to be adjusting constantly, so on and so forth. But the fact from the body point of view, the physiology of all this is that if people are aggressively competitive, they are feeling not safe. Now, we can see that if there's a job they're applying for and there are lots of applicants, then they're going to really push to stand out and so on. We can understand all that. But basically, if we have bodily safety, if we really embodied, then we wouldn't be aggressively pushing. We would be back in our spine, we would be breathing, because we know, we believe in ourselves, And we also know that certainly in the situation of job applicants, probably the applicant has already been chosen. We're seeing lots of stories around about this, that interviews are pointless because they've already chosen who they're going to elect. So from my point of view, the most important, and I've done lots of hiring in my time, hiring teachers and so on for my teams. And basically, I always was attracted to those who were rather quiet, but strongly in their bodies. Their eye movements are very stable. They were very concentrated, very pleasant. Not any signs of danger there. And of course, it's really interesting when we watch people in these situations, because we have those instincts. We are animals, we're creatures, basically, with a very developed cognitive system, and consciousness, of course. But we do have a sense of danger, and we have a sense of safety. And all of this comes from the body, from the nervous system. And I've really delved into the physiology of this very deeply. So I can tell when somebody's not feeling safe. But if we're not feeling safe, that is something to be concerned about, because one of the first signs of burnout, and as you know, what our talks are called the Burnout Breakthrough. One of the first signs, the early signs of burnout, is this kind of danger, this feeling of danger, and urgency. Danger and urgency go together. So a typical burnout victim will be constantly switched on, constantly meeting deadlines, and every deadline is an urgent call. And they don't switch off. They can't sleep, they can't eat, because they have all the urgent things they have to do. And so this kind of urgency and lack of safety is something to be concerned about. And I have worked with quite a few people who, as soon as I met them, I could see they felt unsafe. And if we just look at that physiologically, if we are constantly in our limited mind, as I call it, brilliant but limited skills mind, the cognitive mind, if we're constantly there, then we become really isolated from the body and isolated from the nervous system. We're not in touch with our physical presence and our spiritual presence, our human spirit presence. And for me, the human spirit is the engine that kind of drives everything, really. So if we're not in touch with our bodies, we've kind of put all the lights out, and we're constantly attracted to the visual world, the intellectual world, and calculating and summarizing and all of those. Then it means that we are really not getting signals from the body. So if the body feels danger, it's biology. The danger signals will be sent to the brain, and some action will be taken, like running or hiding or something like that. And so if we're not in touch with our bodies, if we are not embodied, and this is why I feel I'm spearheading a revolution, really, because so many people are not in touch with their bodies, then we don't get those signals. And so we burn out because we lose control, and we've got some damage, really, to our nervous system. And we've got neglect of the body and the spirit. And so the whole thing collapses like a house of cards, because there's no anchorage. There's no anchorage in the body. There's no breath. There's no spine, and so on. So I think for me, in teams and in my groups that I run and so on, I'm introducing something that I call the roundtable protocol. Now, I'm sure you have experienced roundtable leadership, Joseph, and I know how important inclusion and equity and so on are to you. But yes, in terms of the safety of group members, I'm going to introduce this protocol, which says that each guest has 10 minutes to talk, and I time it. And I am the only one who can interrupt. I can talk to them, I can question them and interrupt them and so on. And thus, they feel heard, they feel seen, and hopefully they calm down. And there is no compulsion to dominate, because that's what it is when people are constantly interrupting. They want to dominate. They want to take over. And that is, for me, the competitive side of being human that I really don't think is natural now. Maybe 500 years ago, or even 1,000 years ago, it was, when we were still evolving. But now we have all these wonderful systems. The body is a miracle of systems. It functions beautifully if you leave it and stop, interfering with this mind. So basically, yeah, I feel that we naturally collaborate. And that's really my ideal. I am a romantic. People said that to me recently. I am a romantic. But I really believe that the future is about human beings are so self-dependent, self-reliant, so physically and mentally balanced, body, spirit, and mind balanced, that they are the leaders, that everybody is a leader. We are all leaders. But the leaders who are appointed very often aren't ready for leadership, so they collapse. But if we are all natural leaders and we can lead ourselves, then I dream about communities in which people just collaborate. There are no elected leaders. It's round table, but everybody's important. And I strive to make that happen in whatever I do. And I think this is what we have to try to look forward to, in these kind of communities. Sorry, I've talked a lot there, but I can see you're writing reams. You got some. Sorry, go ahead. What do you think?
Well, Lyndon, just as usual, sometimes when you say some things, it triggers a lot of thoughts that I'm processing myself.
Mm.
When you mentioned the round table leadership, it reminded me of a new venture we're trying to embark on. And that new venture will be focusing specifically on education. Now, if you look at how technology and AI is taking over almost everything, you begin to see that people have been operating in isolation. With all those technologies, I believe that it will result in more isolation, even with the type of new energy, intellectual drive, and all those beautiful things we can get through our what you call limited minds. Those are quite right. So the purpose of this particular thing that really lent the basis to your statement, like the round table leadership, is essentially to deal with something you already mentioned. That is, it's not going to be limited. People are not going to be only limited by time. They will be limited by what they will be expecting to get from other leaders. Because I believe that leaders have different gifts. And when you see a domineering leader who undermine the knowledge and the ideas that other people who may actually be gifted in other dimensions more than that person, then we lose a lot. So the type you framed would be ideal to provide everyone opportunity to bring the best in the individual, and that best could be characterized in terms of your field, in terms of your knowledge, in terms of your experience, in terms of every aspect of your life, because we all have different lives, and those different lives opened up for different opportunities to learn new things. So when we have people, as you say everyone may have 10 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, doesn't matter, that they are able to, push their ideas so that other people will get a sense of where they're coming from. It fits into what I'd call windows through which individuals see things. The windows through which you see things may be somehow different from the windows through which I see things. So we might see the same thing, but the way we conceptualize them may vary. By sharing those variations, it leads us to a new and higher contour of knowledge acquisition, because it's the combination of what your perspective may be and that of those whom you will be dealing with. By so doing, you infuse all those into one, and that one will be much, much better than an individual's view of it. So I like that, and naturally that's how human beings ought to be, because they gain more from that type of relationship than competition. Competition is where people try to outdo one another, and as a result, it doesn't lead to anything good.
No.
So I
Absolutely.
completely, I really agree with you, and I will be sharing more about that, because this will be highly selected group, the cream of the crop, if you will. And the idea is for them to look at, when we say we are educating, what does that mean? Does that mean fragmented information that we spit out and let people memorize it and for purposes of passing an exam? Or are we doing something that will enable people to think, to be able to transfer what they've engaged with us, in this case, collaboration? Because with collaboration, you gain quite more that then can be transferred into various circumstances. It wouldn't be limited.
Yes.
So that's the way I'm looking at it. I wish that our global community, whether it's on individual basis, corporate level, leaders, our global communities like countries, those who lead countries, can understand the significance of this comparison we are drawing here. Because if they understand it, rather than competition, they try to do collaborative work, whether it's in terms of production of goods and services. There are certain people certain societies that are endowed with resources to produce something at a much lower price than others. And so if we use collaboration to collaborate and support one another, this world will be a better place. The issue of, you're talking about anxiety, unsafe, and all those things that propel people to fight or flight. We will be able to deal with them in amicable ways. That's my thought. Yeah.
Yes, I love it, and I think the whole point of presence, because that's another thing that people are really crying out about on the internet, in the internet global community, because AI, as you say, is taking over, and so some people are developing a twin, so that they can make their twin work for them and they can go and lie on the beach. This kind of thing is going on. But basically, being authentic is really presenting lots of problems to people because they're not authentic. They don't know who they are. This last week, I've been asking people, after a little bit of preparation with my other questions, then I would come around to the question, by the way, who are you? Who do you think you are? Most people are taken aback by that, and they have a kind of double take. They say, oh, I don't know who I am. I really don't know who I am, because I'm so driven by society. I'm so driven by my stereotype image, by my goals that are all about performing out in the world, that actually I've lost entirely touch with who I am, my true nature, what I call my true nature. And then they get very upset, wow, I don't know who I am. So this, you may think, well, that's putting the cat among the pigeons. And yes, it is, because I'm really keen that people know who they are. I've spent years finding out who I am through spiritual training. I know exactly who I am, and therefore I can be authentically present. And I can count on my left hand the number of people who I can say that about. And I can say it about you, Joseph. I think you're really very present and very solid, very solidly you. It's wonderful. And I think that's why we get on so well and enjoy such good conversations. So, but many people are not, and they are projecting this polished, professional something or other, which is like a scaffolding, and behind them they are kind of naked, cringing, bewildered human beings. And so I think if we can become more embodied, of course, if we can work to rest from the constant screen watching, constant comment making, and so on that we feel forced to do in this internet community, then we might be able to find a place where people do have time to find out who they are. And it's a really fabulous process. I take my clients through this process to really get in touch with their true nature and their true passions and their true mission in life, their purpose in life. This week on my masterclass, Wednesday, Your Body is Your Business Plan masterclass, the topic is I'll just let me show you the topic in real terms. Yes, it's called Aligning Purpose with Profit. This is the perfect opportunity to talk about, why we're here and who we are, what we are doing. And I feel that AI, the presence of AI is now promising to give us a chance to have more time to make these inner explorations. What do you think?
Well, I think what you are saying is it's important. We either consciously or unconsciously project image of what we would like people to see us, while deny who we truly are. And I would embrace the latter. I cannot, I wouldn't want anyone to see me for anything other than who I am. I know that is not, you can't guarantee that everybody would want that. Now, I think you are quite aware of this. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm almost all the time completely booked. These are the days of my meeting or engaging with people from wherever they may come from. And due to our footprints, I have people from almost all the continents. And something that remains clear to anybody I deal with is that I don't speak with people whom I do not see their face.
That's interesting.
I've had a lot of people who, when they come, they project or that they put something there, or they don't show their face. I see some sort of their image. And my usual thing is to say, please, if I can't see your face, you know that this will not continue. And I've maintained it, and I've canceled meetings as a result of it, because I don't really have time to waste. Say, for instance, you made a comment about people staying in the beach and having a clone of themselves through the technology tools, where you can be actually engaging with someone, not knowing that that's not a real person. I don't have time for that.
No.
So that's within my control. And the other thing that I think is of interest is what you said about your master class. I think is very, very, very important. Now, what I had told you about the new leadership that I was telling you that we are selecting people from all over the world. These are the cream of the crop in various subject areas. The idea is to begin to tackle the issues of our time, whether it's an environmental issue. As you know, our environment is going what I cannot even describe. Many people are aware of it, but many people choose to deny it. In a way, it's not good based on what research is saying. So the same is true, which is the one that interests me, that propelled me to begin to think of the idea, is like when you come to education, I try to tell people that education has two pillars. The first pillar is about curriculum, which is, in short term, I say curriculum is what happens. It could be written, it could be unwritten, it could be documented, it could be through the power of technology and AI, whatever you may call it. Some are tested, some are not tested, some are known, some perhaps will never be known. But all those encompasses what we call curriculum. Now, the idea is that any person who wants to train anybody or teach anybody anything, if you don't understand where your learner or your audience are, I'll urge the person to go and find out that first, even before syllabus. I don't do syllabus until I get to know the students I'm going to teach. Then I'll frame my syllabus to connect them based on their level of development into what I would like them to know by the end of the course. So my view is that sometimes we have someone coming to class like first semester for you used to college environment where every semester you go to the class and teach a course. Sometimes you get your syllabus before the class begins. And sometimes you take somebody's syllabus and use it, or you give somebody your syllabus and say, go and teach. I think that's bankrupt. My
too.
of syllabus is when you first of all get to know who your students are, get to know what they know. In other words, what the PAJ will consider as prior experience. Get to know what they know. Second, get to understand the misconceptions they would have based on what they had assumed that they know. Perhaps try to address those misconceptions so that you will be in line with a common belief of the type of what it is. It's only when you do that, then you can get a sense of where they are in the trajectory of learning. And then from there, you frame the syllabus, frame the course content so that you can begin to start building from where they are to where you want to take them. And if you have a curriculum that connects people from what they already know to the new information you want them to get familiar with, you'll be much more successful. And those will be students who will pass all kinds of exams you give them, because it fits into what I call fluid knowledge or fluid intelligence. It moves like water. So if you set a question straightforward, they will get it. You set it sideways, they will get it. You set it diagonal, however you set it, they will get it. But if it's based on fragmented information, they will memorize it. If the question comes any other way other than the straight, the way the program is, they will miss it.
Yes, I agree.
So when you have that pillar one, keep it there. And then the second one is to look at the pedagogical construct. How do the learner learn best? Some people will say, oh, this person learns this way. This person learns. No. They're missing the point. People may have learned a way that they feel they learn the best, but guess what? Perhaps they had not been exposed to other ways of learning. Perhaps if you introduce them to other ways of learning that had not been exposed to they've not been exposed to, they may embrace that as the best. So I'm of the view that you use all methodologies, pedagogical methodologies, to show people, learn from them, and then figure out how best they learn. And when you use it and frame your teaching and learning processes, you find people who will learn more effectively. So part of the equation is that we're going to have, like now we talk about research. Research is really the driver of all these things. Finland is one of the countries that they continue to point at as having perhaps one of the best set of educators. Why? Because they regard their teachers just as we regard the medical doctors, lawyers, to continuously learn and use new knowledge in order to tackle the issues they are faced with. But if you have teachers who, when they finish or get degree, then they go to the classroom lock room, they don't know of new research findings as to how we learn. And you find out that they cannot teach what they don't know. They will only be teaching based on what they had known. And the new research findings as to better way of doing it, they wouldn't know that. So the idea of that program will be to get professionals in different areas of work, politics, economics, in this economic situation where, going back to your own, I know you are critical of 5 to 9, or rather 9 to 5 jobs.
Yes.
You'll be able to expose people to the resources, opportunities they have to create their own life and do better than what somebody would be giving them peanut and working them like slaves.
Yeah.
And so there will be range of issues that we're going to be tackling, and as well we're going to be getting professionals who are at the pinnacle of that particular subject area. So each one they do, we assign them as the people who will be doing it. So when we come to leadership round discussion, we can share the current issues almost in every subject area. But before we do that, we may resort to having the person assigned for the day to present the work the person does. We may say 10 minutes, we may say 20 minutes, looking at the timing you were looking at. Then afterwards, then we go to generalities of all the issues we are faced with in this our time. Challenging time, I might add. So all the things you are saying, I like the masterclass idea. I like being yourself. If you're not yourself, don't engage in anything. Be authentic, because it's the best route to what you want to do in life.
Yes. Great. Well, the group sounds super. So count me in. I'd love to be involved in that. And I know that it will be very well organized and so on. Yeah, I think that the future is so much about our personal realities. As you know, in the Buddhist tradition, which as you know, I come from, the most important notion really is that the world wouldn't exist if we were not there to perceive it. And I really, which is part of everything that's changing now due to AI, due to the crumbling of the traditional 9 to 5 grind, as I call it, due to multiple income streams and all of this kind of approach to life. We are really at the crossroads of deciding as human beings whether to be self-reliant or whether to outsource. So, of course, we've been compulsively outsourcing for a couple of 100 years now, more, since the Industrial Revolution, really, I think. But yes, the time is coming where we're going to have time to really start to explore our inner resources. Each human being has everything they need to be truly successful and truly happy inside them, as we mentioned in the past, so really it's the crossroads, and I feel as an embodiment specialist that I'm really a spearhead in all this. And as we move towards that situation, we have to become self-reliant. Yeah. Wonderful. So I'm going to leave this page open we've run out of time now, and we don't want to overwhelm our lovely audience. So, Joseph, let's continue on with this next week. I love this topic of collaborative or competitive. And we'd love to know more about SDIG and this new venture you're embarking upon. And yeah, let's keep talking and keep these channels open and these ideas around, because people are listening. People are listening. They're maybe not taking action yet. They are definitely listening, and they will start to take action soon. They'll be forced to, really, I think. Right. So, well, thank you so much. Do you want to give? Yes, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, if you have a few minutes, we could check on, see what Namita is up to. He had called several times last night. I told him that I'm going to be meeting with you today, that if I get to talk to you, I will try to get her for us to talk briefly. But if you have something else to do now, then just go ahead for it. Let me know what time you have available.
Okay, yeah, I've got a meeting now in about 3 minutes. But yes, let's get in touch today. Let me know when is a good time.
Well, it's up to you, because right now, from now to say in 2-3 hours time would be ideal thing to connect with Namita. And the part of why I wanted to get in touch with you guys is that our publisher was supposed to get a hold of this thing and get it done. So I wanted to speak with both of you to see where we are, and to have that thing done as soon as possible, because these are people who have contracted us for 2 books. And the first one, I want us to get it done. I don't even want it to go beyond, I didn't want it to go beyond last December, but it did. That's why sometimes I like to do some things just on my own rather than doing it with some people. I know that everybody's busy, and again, we're talking about self-reliance or outsourcing. That's another issue that goes to the heart of what it is. So, I would say, you tell me what time will fit into yours. Then I'm going to
let me just say goodbye to our audience. If you just wait in backstage, Joseph, let's have a quick word now, but I'll end this live stream. We've been streaming to LinkedIn and to YouTube. And so, yeah, if you have any questions or comments.
Thank God you can edit it out. So otherwise, I'm going to wait.
Okay, please. Yes, if you have any questions or comments on everything we've said, please leave them below this live window. I'll be putting out some clips from this interview later this week, and we'd love to hear what you think. So thank you so much.
The other thing I will ask you to begin to do is, when people ask questions, you have to provide a forum for the response to come to them, so that they can get answer to their questions. And I think that will add value to what you are doing.
Yeah, that's right. If people are watching and they have comments and questions here, I can see them on the screen, and so we can respond in situ. But quite often, below the window of the live, people leave a comment or a question or a reaction. So I always reply to those things. Anyway, thank you so much for that idea, Joseph. And I'll just wish everybody a great day. Please come back and continue our conversation with us next week on the Burnout Breakthrough. And I'm Lyndon Thorpe, and I've been talking with Dr. Joseph Nwoye. Thank you so much for joining us, and see you next week. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you.